My name is Nick Floyd. I have a long history with Magic the Gathering. I created the Dan variant. Now I'm creating this. Welcome to Magic Storytime. This is episode 4, My Own Playgroup. To leave off from last time, Donnie and I played as much as we could, and sometimes we did well at the card shop's tournaments. We got to know everyone who attended, and the shop owner pretty well. But after close to a year, the shop owner tells us he is closing his card shop because he is getting married and he has to get a real job. Damn, no more Magic tournaments. The only other place you could get Magic cards in town was the Hastings Entertainment Store in the mall, and they only sporadically had packs, and no chance of running tournaments. No single sales at all. Donnie quit Magic without a fight, but I wasn't done with it, not in the least. I was so hooked on Magic that I decided to run my own tournaments. I made a simple poster that invited Magic players to the community college where the shop had held its tournaments on Saturday mornings to meet in the atrium of the main building and play Magic. I hung my posters up on the Hastings entryway corkboard and on similar boards around town. I told work that I couldn't work on Saturdays until the late afternoon so I could be at the college all morning. The closing of the card shop was so sudden that I didn't get to tell people at the tournaments what I was doing. So I don't know how many Saturdays I sat in the atrium alone with my Magic cards, feeling sad and lonely before someone finally showed up. But I was determined. And eventually, some players did show up, and in time we had enough to run small tournaments. I didn't want to collect money and dole out cash prizes, thinking I might get blamed for running an illegal gambling ring. I already had an old security guard at the college wanting to shut me down for playing a devil-worshipping game or some nonsense. Don't tell Mom. Anyway, I asked interested players to bring an unopened pack of Magic that we could get at Hastings as their entry fee, and we made prizes for first, second, and third out of those. Occasionally, we allowed a decently valuable card as entry, and don't tell the authorities, but on a few occasions we allowed the price of a booster pack in cash for people who forgot. Tourneys were round robin, most wins won. Formats were not really a known thing at the time, so we were just playing whatever. Probably you'd consider it vintage today. Nobody had any alpha, beta, or unlimited power 9, so it worked just fine. We didn't play for ante. We weren't monsters. I would experiment with different deck ideas, and I had a reputation as a good player and a good deck builder, though the group was not highly competitive. It's probably not a surprise to anyone that the creator of the Forgetful Fish Dan variant is a blue mage, but that wasn't always the case for me. I remember that during this time, I finally tried playing blue control for the first time, and to a great disaster. I had never seen anyone play blue control, and only read about them in The Duelist and Inquest. For viewers who don't know, The Duelist and Inquest were magazines for the collectible card game hobby, of which Magic the Gathering was the only game that seemed to have any staying power. I almost feel like I need to describe what a magazine is for viewers who were not born last century. I'm getting that old. But I digress. I wanted to build a blue counterspell deck and try that strategy, not knowing much about it. I knew it had a bad reputation, and my impression was that it just countered everything and didn't let the opponent play anything, hence the hatred. So I built a deck of mostly islands and counterspells and tried to play it like that. I just countered everything. But as you might guess, I would eventually run out of counters, and one of my opponent's threats would kill me. I was playing few threats of my own. Yeah, it didn't work at all, and my impression of blue Magic was very low as a result. But in less than a year, I had built the first Dan deck, and that taught me how to really play blue. But that's an anecdote for another time. My first attempt to play blue control was a disaster, but my playgroup went really well, and it grew in time. By the time I left for college in the fall of '97, we had about 20 Magic players on good weeks. Not all the Magic players in town attended my group regularly, but I would meet some of those guys who wouldn't come on other nights to play at their house. Some of us consider ourselves pretty good, and once Wizards initiated the Pro Tour in February 1996, we decided to travel to the nearest city, Salt Lake City, about 2.5 hours drive to the west, and play in real tournaments, and maybe qualify for the Pro Tour. But that's a Magic story for another time. Tune into the next Magic Story Time where I'll describe my first experience at a tournament in Salt Lake City. Thanks for joining me with this episode. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I hope to get your feedback. See you next time on Magic Story Time.